I really don't want to review this episode. Really, I don't. But I might as well get it over with, since I did promise I would review all the episodes. This was requested by, once again, BabClayman1. I really don't know why he's asking me to review all my least favorite episodes, but whatever. Let's just get this over with. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Season 2, Episode 11, Family Appreciation Day. So not worth it. So this episode starts off with Granny Smith doing something crazy in the middle of the night, waking up everyone else in the Apple family. It has something to do with these things called Zap Apples. I'll talk about that during the review. So the next day, Applejack and Big Macintosh are doing something to prepare for the Zap Apples. Apparently the Zap Apples come in these different phases. Because the Apple family is doing their annual task of making Zap Apple Jam. Next we see Granny Smith and Apple Bloom hopping around water buckets in bunny suits while singing the alphabet song. Just in time for Diamond Tiara to show up, just to tell Apple Bloom how embarrassing Granny Smith is. Then we see them going through town, just to see Granny Smith acting more crazy than ever. Now let me pause for a second here. Just to let you know, Applejack is the only member of the main six to appear in this episode. And even she doesn't do much. Granny Smith and Apple Bloom are the primary focus characters on this episode. Sorry for the long pauses. Anyway, back at Apple Bloom's school, there's this thing going on called Family Appreciation Day, where each filly has to bring a family member in to do a presentation about their career. Apple Bloom is the next one in line after Diamond Tiara's dad, but she's scheduled to go on the day when the Zap Apples are supposed to be harvested. And both her siblings will be too busy, so she's left with no choice but to bring Granny Smith in. So the rest of the episode, Apple Bloom tries to come up with a way to get out of Granny Smith coming to her school. So she gets together with Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle to help her. So first they try to make it look like Apple Bloom is sick, but Granny Smith doesn't buy it. Next they see if they can harvest the Zap Apples early, but that plan backfires as the Zap Apples are immune until the next day. Very interesting. So then the Cutie Mark Crusaders turn Granny Smith into a puppet while she's sleeping, and have her talk to Cheerilee, saying she can't make it. And Cheerilee buys it and says she can reschedule, but Granny Smith wakes up right away and says she'll make it. So the next day, Scootaloo comes up to Granny Smith disguised as a telegram delivery guy, and she gives her a telegram from Apple Bloom's uncle saying he wants her to come visit her. And she buys it and heads off to the train station. Right at school, Granny Smith comes anyway for Family Appreciation Day. It turned out that Uncle Apple Strudel was really on the train. Granny Smith does her presentation where she tells a story of the history of Ponyville. It turned out that Granny and her family were the founders of Ponyville. Also, the Zap Apples were mentioned in the story, as well as the Timberwolves. I knew they were in an earlier episode. So it turns out Granny Smith did have something awesome about her after all. She may seem crazy on the outside, but really she knows what she's doing. And that's technically the end of the episode. Do I really need to give a final verdict? This episode didn't even have a lesson at the end. Meh, I'll do it anyway. Final verdict. As much as it hurts me to say this episode sucked the big one. It's a Day in the Limelight episode that focuses on the Apple family, primarily Granny Smith and Apple Bloom. I mean, I guess it's nice to give some spotlight to some pony who is not one of the main characters, but Granny Smith isn't even a dark horse. I think this episode would have been more entertaining if it focused more on the Zap Apples and the rest of the main six was in it. For those of you who wonder why Applejack and her family get so much focus in the series, well, it's because I heard that the writers of this series really liked Applejack a lot, so naturally they'd want to give her more spotlight. Well, now that I've got that out of the way, I think it's time that I reviewed a good episode. So what should I do for my next review? How about All's Well That Ends Well? That sound good for you guys? Okay, I'll do that one. So until next time, Powerpuff 97 away!